Detroit is an intense drama based on a true story about the Detroit riots and the events that happened at the Algiers Motel. And this is a depressing film.
Here in Detroit, a city of war, violence continues.
We've made state police and National Guardsmen available. I'm declaring a public state of emergency.
It's a war zone out there. They're destroying the city.
Police! I'm just going to assume you're all criminals.
So when I went to see this movie, I talked to the usher, the guy giving me the tickets, and I said that I kind of had to hurry to see it because it looked like they were almost getting rid of it after the first week in my theater. And the guy said, "Yeah, I haven't given the ticket to anyone for it. You're the first one I've given the ticket for it." And I can see why, because it is not a summer movie. I don't know what the hell they were thinking releasing this in August. Because, I mean, if you do it in, the winter, during the award season, you'll probably get some more people wanting to check it out. But this is not a summer movie. And, the director, Catherine Bigelow, I've liked her previous films, but in this one, I felt her direction too much. Because, when the things go down at the Algiers Motel, that frantic handheld camera that's shaking all over the place and, zooming in and out and cutting a lot, that really adds to the intensity of those scenes. And you kind of lose track of, the film and just you're in that moment. But for every other moment in the film, it's so forced. There's especially one scene where I almost laughed out loud at how bad the camera work was and how overworked and stupid. And that was with John Boyega. And he just got home from one shift and he answered the phone, and he had the other shift as a security guard and needed him to come in because of the riots. And he's answering the phone and the camera's zooming in, zooming out, panel, moving around, clip, switch, cutting from all different angles and zooming in, and it's he's answering the frickin' phone. Just set up a shot and have him answer the phone. What's the point of doing all that camera shit? Just stop it. Just stop. There's also an incredibly weird intro to this film. Looks some amateur cartoon at the beginning explaining in such broad terms what led to the Detroit riots. And it's so broad, it's white people moved to the suburbs, and black people moved to the cities, and there was trouble. Okay, let's start the movie, now you know enough about it. And it's why do that? Just have another scene, setting up, stuff that's going down. They have this long scene of these cops, arresting all these people that are at an illegal club. And the whole idea with that is that black people couldn't, they weren't being served at any of the bars. All the bars, the white people were refusing to serve them. So they had to make their own bars, which were technically illegal. And then when they started arresting them for it, that started the riots. And there's a lot of other stuff too, but, that was one of the triggers. And, that I really think this movie, instead of being called Detroit, it's a stupid name of a movie. You could just call it the Algiers or something. It would make a lot more sense. Because the majority of this movie is at the Algiers. And when they're at this hotel, it is effective. You see the police are evil. And it's really horrible seeing that all the other the guard and the state police and all the other people kind of look at what's going on I'm gonna leave. I'll let you guys take the blame for this. And what happens is horrible. But at the same time, this is all through the lens of Catherine Bigelow. Especially at the end of the movie, it's they have this little thing that that this is all from things recollections of the people that were there. And, they said because they said it couldn't be sued by probably the police. And, it feels like it's real, but I feel that, in the documentary, a documentary can give you, the facts. Even if the creator of the documentary has a viewpoint on it. It's tougher to create something different than what actually happened in the documentary, although it can be done. But for a movie, you're in full creation of this movie. Like, you can do whatever you want. So I think that it's not as effective to tell the story because, especially, it's not a movie. Like, there is no story, there is no conflict, there is no, like, beginning, middle, and end. There's just, like, an hour-long scene at the Algiers that's nonstop. And it's effective, though. But, like, after the Algiers, and we'll slightly spoil, I will spoil stuff that happens. But, I feel weird, like, it's not really spoiling event if it actually happened. And you can, if you quick Wikipedia search and you know exactly what happened. But, basically that these police tortured and killed a bunch of black people at the Algiers motel after one person was firing a starter pistol at the National Guard, like, from far away. And, they were searching for the gun, and there's all stuff that, that had gone on. But then at the end, it's like, okay, I wish it had just ended at the Algiers. And they could have had an epilogue or something saying what happened after. But instead, after the things end at the Algiers, you get the after effect. Like, you get the trial. And you get, like, what happened to everybody. And it's a long section. And there's no payoff. Like, you see all of these things happen, and you think that you get the court trial, and think, okay, finally, I'm going to get some payoff. They're going to get, they're going to get the book thrown at them. They're going to go in jail. And like, oh, nope, they're going to get off scot-free. Awesome. I don't care now. I mean, like, what is, like, okay, how am I supposed to feel about this? I mean, it's horrible. But, like, there's no catharsis. There's no conclusion. It's just like, oh, so it's over, and everyone's evil, everyone sucks, everyone is damaged by this except for the police. So okay, I guess the movie's over, and it's like, it's not an enjoyable movie-going experience. And I think a story like this, if you have a documentary, you're prepared to not. It doesn't have to have, like, a story. I mean, it is shown what happened. But this is essentially a recreation of the events that happened, and, like, it's tough to watch. And also, I can't help but feel that that Algie Smith, who plays Larry, like, the big thing at the end is that he is the guy that's about to be on the verge of breaking out in the Motown scene, and when the Detroit riots happen, and after they happen, and he's tortured by these white policemen, and his friend is murdered. Like, he cannot sing for white people. They basically the movie goes out of its way of saying, that he won't sing a song that white people will dance to. And then for the rest of his life, he sings at a black church choir. And I can't help but think, if this guy wouldn't sing for white people, how would he feel about a white woman directing his story? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if he would be happy about this. And, it's a weird thing that, that was Catherine Bigelow the right person to direct this movie? And, maybe you say that, like, she was able to get it done, but you have to wonder if people will appreciate, white women telling the story of Detroit and what happened in the riots at the Algiers Hotel. It's also a little odd where, like, before the Algiers, when they're rioting, there's a lot of scenes of rioting, and I will say that all of the black people are not put in good light. They look like criminals. They're rioting and they're causing trouble and they're burning their own, like, buildings down. And I feel like Catherine Bigelow noticed that this is maybe a little too much. So she has this one really odd scene. Oh, wait, look, there's also a white woman looting over there. Oh, look, it's not just black people. There's white woman doing it. Don't be mad at me. And it feels really forced. It feels like if it's a documentary, then you say, oh, yeah, it's not just, a black people from Detroit rioting. It's also other people. But in the movie, they said, okay, we're going to have a scene now where this random white woman comes and loots some stuff too. Okay, so we got to film that now so people don't look at us weird. And I can't help but feel a little weird about that. The acting is great from everyone, especially Will Portier as the evil policeman. and it's an effective film when at the Algiers. And as a whole of the movie, though, is not an effective movie, and it's really a bad movie-going experience. Like, there's nothing really to get from it. There's nothing enjoyable about it. Like, you get, it doesn't have the documentary thing because, like, this is all through the eyes of Catherine Bigelow. Like, you don't know if it's actually real. Like, I mean, like, I'm sure it probably happened like this, but, it's because it's a movie, it doesn't feel as real as it could if it was a documentary. As a whole, I give it like a 6 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if especially in a theater. Like, if you're at home, I think it could be a better experience, but at a movie theater, it's just not a fun experience. I wouldn't recommend it. So thanks for watching. You can check out my other playlists around my head or subscribe to me over here.